Hi Pinkies! It's been absolutely forever. It's been so freaking long. So I made a movie, finally, it's out. I think I've been talking about it and working on it for almost 3 years. It was like 2.5, I think. And for those first like year and a half, it was just so much work between doing the movie and going to school and working, and then also making videos for this channel. So for that last stretch, I just decided I have to just focus on only making the movie. And then I made the movie, and then the movie came out, and then I just kept making films, and I never returned back to this channel. And part of the reason for that was I just kept being busy. And the other thing is that I'd never had ideas for things to make. There was a lot of things that would happen when I was watching Star Wars stuff where I would say, oh, I'd really love to make a video about this and talk about like the future plans for Star Wars. And then I just wouldn't return. The longer I was away, the less it felt like I had something worth coming back and saying. And so yeah, today's just gonna be a little update and talking about all the things that have happened, and especially focusing on the making of donuts and what you're gonna be able to see going forward on this channel. It's really hard to even conceive of where to start with donuts if I do. When I decided to make a film, it was in large part because I've made so many projects over the years. I've started so many projects that haven't gotten finished or haven't gotten a big release, or they just blow up too big, and then whatever I wanted to happen just won't happen because I had nothing to show for it. Because even though I'd done all this work over years on image editing and video editing and telling stories through Minecraft videos and whatnot, I had nothing that I felt I could show for it. And donuts was conceived as a thing that I thought I could follow through and create, and at the end of the day, put my name on it and say, that, I created that. And that was a harder thing than I expected it to be. When I made up the idea, it was basically a back of the napkin idea, and I thought, okay, I can make this in a week. And that week turned into a month, and those months turned into a year, and that year turned into a few years, and finally, I have something to show for it, which I'm very proud of. Donuts If I Do, when it first came out, I thought, oh my gosh, there's so many little editing things that I wish I could have fixed. Like a monster in the woods or something. There was a lot of times like before Donuts came out or after Donuts came out where I'd be at a screening with friends and I would think like, oh my gosh, if I could fix this little thing, it would be perfect. If only I would have thought to fix this. Or, oh, the script suffers so much because it was clearly, like the bones of it were still that back of a napkin idea. And so when it came out, I thought, oh, I can just see all of the skeleton of this thing. And a lot of that is that I was behind the camera and in front of the camera and in the editing room and doing the audio work. And so everything about it is exposed to me. I know every single ingredient that went into this recipe. But now I look at it with a little distance and I think this is great. This is something that I really intended. If you haven't seen the movie, it's for free on my channel. It's like 30 minutes or so, and I really am proud of it. And I'd love for you to give it a watch and let me know what you think. This video specifically, giving you guys an update, has been on my little planner since before Donuts was released. And just forever, I've thought I needed to do a video promoting that I made a movie, because that's so hard for me to think I made the movie and I feel like that's enough work, but no, you need to also tell people about the movie and you need to get them out there and watch it. And that's hard. Since it came out, I've had a few screenings. I've had one at my school, and then one just for my friends, and then another one at my school, which was like a film festival type thing, which was really fun. Donuts has brought me a lot of people. School as well has brought me just a few really talented people that I'm excited to work with. And I've already worked with them a few times. If you want to see some of the stuff that we're working on, you can watch the 2 establishing shots shorts that we did on my YouTube as well as my TikTok. They're little short form, tall clips, and basically the idea I thought of I don't know if you've seen these things on TikTok, but they're these, you take an establishing shot from some movie like The Dark Knight or something, and then they AI extend them to go vertical. And I thought, wow, vertical can be so beautiful, and I'd really like to do it for real instead of like burning down forests and taking water away from communities by using a data center to do it. And you've seen this with Quibi, but Quibi was garbage. And a lot of the things on there were not conceived to be vertical media. And so I thought, what if we build it into this idea of vertical media? How can we frame it? The other thought there was, what if we always stick to wide shots, which I know establishing shots aren't always wide. Establishing shots can be close, but I thought it'd be really interesting and a big challenge to never cut close, because I love cutting close. A lot of that is because of this camera. This camera is exceedingly good at close-ups. I think it looks amazing in close-ups. And so I thought, I should challenge myself and my creative intuition, which is informed by this camera, by instead going really wide and trying to tell a story without cutting close in the slightest. And so those two shorts, I think I learned a lot from. They were so much faster turnover than Donuts. It's not even comparable. I mean, I think the first one where we're going through the water, we literally shot that in 2 hours, and then I had it edited the night of, because there's no visual effects and there was nothing where I would really have to go in. Whereas with Donuts, I mean, if you look at Donuts, nearly every single logo or sign in that movie, I have printed over my own logo. That requires designing, that requires tracking it over. Obviously there's the clone shots, there's plenty and plenty of clone shots in there. And establishing shots has none of that, which was also partially made because I wanted a break. Those types of things are fun. I think that establishing shots, I learned a lot from it, but I think one of the things I learned was that vertical wasn't the way to do it. And I'm also starting to think that the whole idea of cutting super wide was such a limiting factor that maybe at least some close-ups would help really punch on impactful moments, because you can only keep a story so, it can only bring you in so much if you never get brought in physically by the camera moving closer to the subject. Anyway, if you haven't seen those, check them out. But again, that shows to illustrate how much of a project Donuts really was, that it took me so long, and a lot of the time I would have really great volunteers and friends that would help me, whether it was David being my double, or my grandpa being my cameraman, or my actor stepping in and driving my car. All of the times that I would have people working with me, it was so much relief to me, because those things that I had to do myself, where I would set up the camera, set up the microphones, get in the costume, and then I would have to go in front of the camera now and then recenter myself as an actor, were very difficult. And I think you can probably see that in the final product, that I had a lot of things I was juggling, and a lot of those scenes where it looks like Davey is really contemplating some stuff, it's a lot because I was really contemplating some stuff and hoping that the scene would turn out well. And I didn't have any classical training in acting. Whereas now with school, I've been learning acting. I think now I've got a lot more grounding of what makes something cinematic. And so now I'm excited to use those tools to make more stuff. Now I want to talk about what's happening going forward. So like I talked about, I have some great friends that I'm working with now, namely my friends Ethan and Blair, who have been helping me with some different cinematic things. They both worked on the Establishing Shots shorts. Ethan is my counterpart, and Blair was behind the camera directing one of the two. And having those friends around is super exciting, because we have a lot of different stuff cooking. In terms of videos on this channel, it's so hard for me, one, to think of things that I think I really want to get in front of a camera in a YouTuber style and discuss, while also finding the time for that. In contrast, I have a lot of different like creative writing, story-based scripts that I want to tackle. And maybe even sometimes there'll be a documentarian thing that's a lot more close to this YouTube angle over here. But for now, all of the ideas in my head are these cinematic storytelling things. So what you can expect going forward is more of these creative projects that I'm working on with my friends. Now, if you came here as a fan of Donuts If I Do, and you stayed for the full length of this video, I will say that there is more donuts in the works. I have lots of different ideas, whether that's, and I'll just lay them out because, I mean, who's spying? Who stayed until here, right? I have a few different ideas, but they're sort of coalescing into one thing. I don't like the idea of a trilogy. I don't like the idea of a trilogy. I don't like trilogies in general because usually one of those 3 parts falls flat. And I think that people love the idea of trilogies because the number's round or something, but duologies and quadrilogies I think are much cooler. So if I could do it in one of those 2 formats, that's probably what I'm gonna lean towards. The reaction I get to donuts is so funny because it's not exactly what I expect. The ideas are so clear to me in my head when I show it to people that when people come to me and they say, I can't wait to see the Gnome movie, I think like, oh, that's not what I was thinking when I put it together. But there are ways to do it. So there's obviously Gnome stuff that needs to happen. And then there's more clone stuff, whether that's in the future, what happens after Donuts, and prequel stuff. How did these clones get to know each other? And tying that all into one story is my hope, but it might be so much stuff that I will have to break it into several stories. And so right now I'm in the process of figuring out writing-wise what's going to happen from here. And then once we get that going, we can start filming. And just like Donuts, I filmed sort of year-round, reshoots and reshoots and reshoots and doing things on the fly. And lots of those scenes, I had like the idea of a script and then I would have to come up with dialogue on the day. I'm guessing that's how it's gonna go with Donuts 2 or whatever other form that takes. So anyway, who knows when it's gonna come out, but my hope would be you're seeing some kind of Donuts 2 type material by the end of next summer. We'll see if that happens. But there's other projects that I have in the works. There's something I have completely edited that's pretty interesting. It's an adaptation of Ohio by Satoshi Kon, which you can watch on YouTube for free. It's like a 1-minute short that I really like. That one, it might take a little while to show you because I've learned recently that if you want to enter something into a film festival, it needs to have no release beforehand. So that's going to be something I'm holding on to until I can show it at some places, and then you can get it. And when you get it, that'll be awesome. Real quick, some more donut stuff. I did want to release Blu-rays of Donuts If I Do, or DVDs of Donuts If I Do. But part of the problem is that I put copyrighted music in it, and even the stuff that isn't copyrighted is like a cover of copyrighted stuff. I don't really know how that works. Obviously, I really wanted to get the license to Donuts Mind If I Do by Chai, but Sony said, we don't do that for, we don't do that. They said, we don't do that for YouTube. And so I was like, what about a DVD release? And then they didn't respond. So I probably could. I'm not gonna do it though, because I don't want to get sued. But things in the future, I will be crafting with the intention of hopefully giving a physical release, because I would love to be able to release Donuts on some sort of Blu-ray format. YouTube absolutely destroyed the quality of it. There's so much stuff where like you look at the wall and you look at the wall in like my previous cut, and all of the color data of the shadows on that wall are messed up by YouTube, versus in the original it looks great. And so I'd love to give you some sort of undestroyed format of it. Maybe there's a file floating somewhere out on the internet that you could like burn or something and like download and burn it to your own Blu-ray, and then maybe I could provide art for you to put onto a Blu-ray disc. But I would never advise that. Pirating my movie, would you? Why? But it'd be pretty cool. I mean, I could imagine it being pretty cool to put it on a TV and be like, look at this Blu-ray quality. Wow, that 33 gigabyte file. That's part of the problem too. The full file is 33 gigabytes, and the compressed version that I give to people is like 7 gigabytes, and it's like not as good quality as the 33. Anyway, enough said about that. Expect to see more cinematic content. Thank you so much for bearing with me and watching this whole video. If you've stuck around also between the time that I stopped making videos until after the release of Donuts If I Do, I so appreciate you, and I will try to keep providing video content for you. If you've been missing out on my content, I've been doing more short stuff. I want to keep doing more short stuff because it feels like so much less of a burden than than 16 by 9 content. And so I would hope that you stick around, and I would absolutely adore that. And I thank you so much for watching. Bye, Pinkies. Did I mention that there's posters? Get yourself a poster. It's really cool. It's a good poster. That's one of the things that I made. There's also a poster made by Jax, like an alt poster. Nobody has it. You should get one. It's really rare.